The new now is here. You need an out-of-the-box user-friendly platform that will help you transition smoothly to the new normal. You need vSmart School. vSmart School is a one-stop teaching and learning online platform perfect for hybrid learning. This two-in-one system caters to your distance learning and classroom management needs. vSmart School supports self-paced, teacher-paced, asynchronous and synchronous formal education online. In vSmart School, students will attend daily online classes and access Vibal's step-it-aligned digital curriculum from preschool to senior high school. Need content for college? We have them too! With the guidance of parents and teachers, students will follow DepEd's recommended day-to-day lesson calendar for an entire school year. Teachers using vSmart School can also create lessons, schedule classes, and monitor their students' progress. Most importantly, teachers can also live stream or securely conduct online classes through the platform's webinar feature. Looking for a perfect classroom management partner? vSmart School has got you covered as it boasts of an out-of-the-box learning management platform. It provides a library of gamified and interactive materials, a lesson plan repository mapped to the curriculum, assessment tools, and ebooks that feature augmented reality technology. This LMS component of vSmart School is integrated with a learning record system. This means that through the system, teachers and students can track their teaching and learning journey. Not just that, teachers can also monitor students' grades through an electronic grading sheet called Gradebook. And if you need to deploy tests online, you can do so with Test Guru, where you can enjoy thousands of free test questions ready for deployment through the Vibal Test Bank. See, all your distance learning needs are here in vSmart School. Packed with curriculum-aligned content, learners' progress reporting, and ebooks that are AR ready, vSmart School goes beyond the traditional classroom experience. The good news is, you can also enjoy the vSmart School experience without the internet connection through its mobile app. Downloadable from Google Play Store and Apple App Store. So what are you waiting for? Start your virtual classroom with vSmart School.
day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Facebook Live learning session. For the discussion today, the topic will be on Students' Optimal Learning Through ODL. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal? And now, to proceed with our webinar this morning, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Dr. Samuel Sumawang is a graduate of BS Chemistry at Centro Escolar University with honors and recipient of Leadership Award. A graduate of Master of Education, major in Christian Education at Asian Theological Seminary with honors and recipient of Christian Education Award in 2014. He finished his academic requirements for Master of Education, major in Chemistry at De La Salle University. He is a graduate of Doctor of Ministry, major in Christian Education at the Open Seminary. He is a candidate for graduation, major in Educational Management at University of Perpetual Help System Delta. He is the founder and lead pastor of Lightfield Church Marikina and San Juan, Manila, an independent evangelical church centered for the youth, aiming to meet the spiritual needs of today's generation. He is the national head for PCEC, Christian Education Commission Network, and National Alliance of Administrators of Christian Schools. He is the regional leader for the Philippines of the Global Trainers Academy, the national secretary for the National Alliance of Administrators of Christian Schools. He currently works as a freelance academic consultant to a number of private schools in NCR, Calabarzon, and Bulacan, including St. John Mary Vianney Academy, Hillcrest School, Academy of Is, Summit Evangelical Apostolic Mission Learning Center, School of Everlasting Pearl Incorporated, Integrated School of St. Nicole, Pristine Heritage Academy, Children's Garden School of Antipolo, St. Vince Learning Center, and Malolos Christian School. He has been a motivational and inspirational speaker and a resource speaker for different areas related to Christian parenting, school and church leadership, pastoral care, values education, Christian education, science education, teacher education, and spiritual intelligence in different institutions. Most importantly, married to Lynn Sumawang, and they are blessed with two equally beautiful daughters, Abigail Nathalie and Amara Nicole. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Samuel Sumawang.
Okay, good morning. Okay, let me start my video. Yeah, okay. Hi, good morning to all, and I'm very glad to be here again in Vibal. I hope that we had a worthwhile discussion before, and masusundan pa yan today. So, Miss Jill and Miss Franco, thank you very much for this opportunity. So, let me share my screen today. Yan, so that I would be able to start with the topic that would start our week, no, for our another week of live streaming of different topics in today's learning, in today's things that would really be encouraging teachers to have more and more learning. Yeah, those those neurons firing up because of those very worthwhile discussion at mga teachers, mga administrators, and mga parents who are listening to us, lalo na siguro yung mga first time na mga nagiging homeschool teachers, no? Dahil sa nangyayari sa panahon ngayon. So there's beauty in it because at least nakikita natin yung potential pala natin na kaya pala natin talaga i-guide ng gusto yung ating mga anak, no? So this time, our focus would be on the optimal learning through the online distance learning na karamihan sa atin, ito mismo yung modality na pinili para magkaroon ng magandang continuation of education yung ating mga anak. Okay? Now, when I say optimal, dun muna tayo sa definition. Optimal means the best, no? Kumbaga, paano natin mabibigay yung best natin para talagang makita natin na kahit na hindi siya pumasok face-to-face dun sa eskwelahan na kung saan pinili nyo siyang mag-aral, nakikita pa rin natin na talagang yung taon na to ay naitawid ng maayos, hindi lang basta naitawid, no? At nakita pa natin yung potential ng anak natin na maging self-directed learning. So, come on, let's journey together for this wonderful talk about optimal learning. The last time that I talked in Vibal, ito yung last na na slide ko. Sabi ko, all of us, parents, teachers, administrators, we have to be agent of optimal learning by creating holistic learning routines. But this time, yung pagiging optimal learning or achieving the optimal learning of the child itself, i-attain natin yon through ODL naman. No? Paano naman natin ma-achieve yung bagay na yan? So, ang pag-uusapan natin are actually the latest discoveries about how the brain works. Tapos there's another field right now which is called cognitive science. And then under it would be the cognitive psychology para makita natin kung paano mas magiging mainam ang ating pag-deliver ng klase. Sa mga parents naman, kung paano nyo mas magiging maayos ba at magiging makabuluhan yung pagtuturo natin sa ating mga anak as we guide them after the synchronous class, because the asynchronous class, kayo na yung mismong nag-guide niyan. Okay? So I'm working as an ODL or Online Distance Learning Coordinator in School of Everlasting Pearl Incorporated. And we have started piloting this since June 22. Sa Hillcrest School naman, ang ginagawa namin is that since nung summer, naggawa na kami ng ganito so that we have anticipated kasi that things might be different this school year, and nangyari na nga. So ngayon, with those things that I have researched and I have experienced, yun yung ating ibabahagi sa araw na to. Okay, we all know that learning starts and ends with our brains. We do understand that, no? But the question is, do we understand our brains? Alam ko na ngayon ay nagdiriwang tayo ng Teachers Month, no, from September 5 to October 5. That's why kayo yung uunahin ko, teachers. So teachers, tingnan niyo maigi to, okay? When we are trying to educate our young, our students, let's take this picture that the brain's neurons actually are communicating, and then they have to have synaptic activity. Dalawang bagay yan. Pwede siyang electrical, pwede rin siyang chemical. In a nutshell, kailangan yung mga binibigay natin ng mga learning experiences para mag-process ng usot, mag-wire up at magkaroon ng synaptic activity, dapat yan, it would really be engaging. Ngayon, the neuroscientists, the cognitive scientists have these studies and researches that would help us maximize our teaching with our students. Hence, optimal learning would really be inspiring. So, synaptic strength would be actually depending on the number of stimuli. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na stimuli variations. Kailangan iba-iba yung gagawin natin. The gestures, we smile, we become more animated, we pause for a while, we make them reflect. So we do this stimuli so that these students of ours will be able to cope with with their learning at makikita nila na, wow, ang saya rin pala ng ODL. Kasi lahat naman tayo nag-experiment on this, right? In the Philippines in particular. So ibig sabihin, lahat tayo magkakamali, lahat tayo ay magkakaroon ng mga magagandang discoveries, lahat tayo magkakaroon ng mga magagandang experiences at mga learnings, yun ang pinaka-importante ron. So magiging ano rin siya, yung synapses na yan, magiging mahina din yan kapag yan ay hindi na follow through. Hence, our use of asynchronous learning. Yan. So, kaya kailangan si synchronous sa asynchronous, kailangan yan planadong-planado natin. How do we do that? Yun ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Pero sabi ko nga sa inyo, pangyayari lang yung mga bagay na yan kapag mismong tayong mga teachers na nagdiriwang ng ating buwan, no, ay mismo are the agents of optimal learning. So, teachers, sabi nga nila, di ba, you cannot give what you don't have. So what do you need to do then? You have to make sure that you yourselves are preparing your minds, your brains. So how do you do that? No? So kailangan teachers, kayo mo nang focus ko parang kumbaga parang ano to, for your own benefit, how you're gonna be really a good teacher in this time of pandemic. So you have to take care of yourselves by taking care of your brains. Number one is teachers, you have to good nutrition, regular exercise, and adequate sleep. So bakit ba mga importante itong mga bagay na to? Okay? So let's take it one by one. But let me read this to you. These healthy habits promote optimal learning performance in two ways, teachers. In a nutshell, they promote neuroplasticity. What is neuroplasticity? It is the ability to adapt. Kung tayong teachers hindi naka-adapt sa pandemic at sa online distance learning which we are implementing, how else can your students be adapting to that? So that's very impossible. Neurogenesis, walang sabi sa research, walang pinipiling edad yan. Okay? So it's the ability to produce new neurons here in our brain. So as we continue on with our learning, diretso lang, no, ang pagbubuo din ng mga neurons. Siyempre, pag mas bata, mas maraming possibilities for that genesis or for that newborn neurons. Kaya wag niyong patutulugin ang inyong mga isip. Second thing, they keep cortisol, which is actually the hormones and the dopamine hormones, which are being released as we are stressed or happy respectively, no? So kailangan nasa appropriate level siya because later on you will realize bakit. Kailangan ang teacher ay hindi stressed, okay? So let's start with number one. So what you eat actually affect how you think. So kapag ang mga kinakain natin ay hindi rich with omega-3, no, ito according to UCLA's research, lalo na yung mga brassica vegetables, yung mga cauliflowers, broccoli, so yung mga yan and the other foods that you're seeing here, actually they would really contribute for you to really have a good mood of teaching and learning, okay? At saka maganda, lagi kang motivated. Why? Because they would inhibit the production of fructose in our brain. No, according to Dr. Janice Wang. No? Kasi itong mga kinakain nating paboritong-paborito natin at paboritong-paborito ng mga kabataan, kaya pala nagkakaroon sila at tayo mismo, mga teachers, ng memory deficits and anxiety-related behaviors. It's because we're eating the wrong food. So kaya kailangan, let's eat things that would food that would really contribute for us to become the best teacher ever for this pandemic. No, wag nating hayaan na hindi tayo maging magaling nang dahil sa hindi natin alam kung ano nagiging problema. Akala natin hindi tayo nagpe-prepare ng lesson na maayos. Okay naman, pero pagdating sa delivery, bakit ganun? Kasi nga, the tendency is that hindi ka kasi holistically nagpe-prepare. So let's start with our physical well-being. Okay? Next one. Exercise, physical well-being pa rin to. So sabi dito, reasons to work out, number 30, no, to reduce stress. The endorphins released during exercise are natural stress fighters. Regular exercise tends to decrease cortisol levels. Mamaya mas maintindihan niyo yan. So here's the ideal exercise to reduce cortisol levels and keep your stress under control. Yon. So you have to what? To exercise. You have to do your exercise, teachers. Okay? And you know what? Kapag nag-exercise kasi tayo, look at this. Kapag tumataas ang ating cortisol level o yung stress level natin, teachers, we also have higher susceptibility to infections. Kaya iyan ang inuuna kong sabihin na, teachers, how can we have an optimal or best ODL class ever for this school year kung tayo mismo tatamaan ng pandemya? So kaya kailangan maging maingat tayo mismo as teachers. Okay? So ito rin, so pakitingnan na lang diyan kung ano yung mga maaring may symptoms na pala ako na mataas yung cortisol level ko. So what you need to do is, teachers, exercise. No, exercise lang tayo. Okay? Next one, you have to have an adequate sleep. Halimbawa, okay, you're back to gym because it's already open. Okay, sa bahay nag-gym tayo, pero if you don't sleep naman, your muscles would not build, right? So bali wala lang din yung exercise na ginawa mo kung gusto mong mag-build ng mga muscles. Now, also, pagtanda natin, it would also prevent dementia and the brain aging challenges. So, maniningil yan. Simula 40, I'm already 42, nararanasan ko na talaga yung mga sinasabi nila na nakala ko myth lang, ano? But there are facts pala. So, before, tandaan nyo to, prevention would always be better than cure. So before you go to the curing process, ma-prevent na natin. Okay? And also, sabi nila, lahat ng mga problema natin, nasa sa atin lang daw yan. But how do we access this? Kailangan natin ma-access yung unconscious mind natin. When do we access that? When you are asleep. No? So ang mga problema natin nandun lang sa atin. So we have to make those dreams created while we are asleep. Okay? So, hindi beer, hindi mga kung ano-ano pa man naiisip ninyo. Hindi yan na magbibigay ng solusyon sa problema nyo, teachers. Kundi yung pagtulog ng maayos. So, that is on the physical aspect. Now, ito rin na kailangan nating iwasan. Yung mga masyado tayong negative sa sarili natin. So, we have to kill the ants. Now, what are these ants? The automatic negative thoughts of ourselves. When you look at the mirror, sige, can you please reflect now? When you look at the mirror, do you still love who you see in the mirror? Kasi alam mo sa totoo lang, ikaw din naman nag-create niyan. So ano dapat na gawin? If there is something to be changed there, ikaw din mismo dapat ang magbago niyan, magdesisyon at magpabago sa sarili mo. Okay? If you want to be an agent of optimal learning. Okay? Kasi hindi ka pwedeng haharap sa camera dito, no? Nakatingin ako rito, hindi ka confident sa tsura mo. So conscious ka, baka ang laki na ng eye bags mo, nakikita ng mga estudyante mo. Kasi dito mas kitang-kita eh. So ibig sabihin, dapat confident ka, teacher. Because otherwise, the next part on the creating a good environment, an optimal environment, okay, would not be possible at all. Okay, next one. You have to surround yourself with your support group, no? Your positive peer group. Katulad dito mga sisiw na to, yung mga nagpangatawag, mga taong sasabing sa'yo na, you can do it, keep trying. Hindi yung nagsasabi sa'yo na, ay nako, yung ODL na yan, dapat talaga academic freeze na lang, yung mga ganyan. So don't surround yourself with those people that would not really help you at all. Mahirap na nga, gagawin pang komplikado, di ba? So let's not be dealing with those people. Number 4, lifelong learning. Anywhere we are all teachers. So never stop learning because your brain requires novelty. If you want that your classes would always be enthusiastic, your class would have to be very wonderful, then it has to begin with the novelties that you have to inject in your classrooms. Online distance learning must always be enjoyable, no? Minsan na lang kayong makita ng mga bata ngayon, hindi katulad noon araw-araw. Dati na physically natatouch natin sila na, hello anak, ganyan. Ngayon hindi na. So, tapos kailangan hindi ka pa prepared ba? So dapat you have to really be prepared with your lessons. Why? Because if you want to have them enjoy it, make it worthwhile, then it has to be always new. There must always be something new that they will have to see, they will have to know, they will have to learn every single day that you're going to be appearing on their screen. Okay. Number 5. Ito na. Babalikan natin yung cortisol na sinasabi ko kanina. Well, in the natural, so it's sabi dito, 1 out of 4 children, teens, and young adults is dealing with stress, anxiety, and depression. Unfortunately, marami tayong adults na mga teachers and they are also with this spectrum. Ngayon, paano ngayon natin gagawin yan? Kaya tayong mag-manage ng stress natin. Hindi lahat ng stress ay bad. There are good stresses. We call them the eustress. And we call the bad stress as distress. Now, when we talk about chronic stress, may pwedeng good stress yan. May 4 quadrants, no? Parang sa math. No? Yung chronic eustress, ito yung palagian, na nagbibigay sa iyo ng saya. Sana kasama diyan ang trabaho natin. At yun namang mga chronic distress, ito yung talagang kailangan nating iwasan sa buhay natin. Otherwise, we will all fail, not only in our profession but in our lives. Pero meron tayong mga tinatawag ng mga acute stress and distress. Ito yung mga bigla nagpapas because hindi siya normal in our day. Tapos napangiti niyo tayo. I hope that one of your ODL classes would do that. And then yung acute distress naman, ito yung biglang, ay nako, parang bigla tayong hindi natin ina-expect yun na mangyayari yun. Pero acute lang kasi yun lang yun, then we can cope agad. Pero yung dalawa, yan ang pag-uusapan natin maigi ngayon. When you talk about chronic eustress, okay, words like fun, happiness, success, peace, joy, laughter, fulfillment, spirit, and love exist in this quadrant. And I know you wanted all of these things. Right? So when we are in a state of chronic eustress, our bodies have very high levels of the feel-good hormones like these are our friends, dopamine, endorphins, nitric oxide, and oxytocin. These hormones make it possible for us to have high levels of self-esteem, no? And to have really strong relationship in all areas of our lives, whether they be romantic, for the singles and the married, parental, or work-related. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan mapanatili natin na nandun tayo sa level na to, sa quadrant na to. Okay? Next, quadrant 4 naman, on the other hand, ito yung mahirap kasi when you are there, kailangan umalis ka na ngayon pa lang. You have to have a decisive decision that would be making you move out of that situation. Kaya sa mga singles, na mga teachers now, you have all the time na huwag kayong magmadali to really, make sure that you pray for it, you spend time na talagang pag-isipan ng gusto when you're getting to a deeper relationship, no, with someone. Okay, because if you get into this, mahirap. So it's a long-lasting recurrent bad stress. This is by far the worst of the types of stress in our lives, and unfortunately, it is also the most common. When I was in Mindoro last year, nakakalungkot kasi yung pastor na kasama namin doon has to go to a wake because a teacher died. Sabi ko, anong kinamatay ng teacher? Nagpakamatay yung teacher because of the stress sa dami ng utang. So, paano pa tayo? Di ba? Paano pa tayo magkakaroon ng isang magandang learning sessions with our students kung tayo mismo ay stressed? So kaya sabi ko sa inyo, teachers, you have to deal with yourself first before going through this happy journey. Okay? So it's very common. So I hope na kung may nakikinig ngayon na nandyan kasi sa sitwasyon na yan, just reflect about it and ask the Lord to really liberate you from this chronic stress, no? So because when this situation is left unchecked, sunod-sunod na po yan yung body natin magde-decline na. So chronic distress is the cause of most people's problems. With this kind of stress, your body is constantly flooded with emergency response hormones katulad ng cortisol at sinamahan pa ng adrenaline. Hindi tayo kailangan laging may adrenaline rush na nagpapakaba sa dibdib natin, no? Hindi pwedeng laging ganun. So when your endocrine system is overused to this extent, things begin to malfunction at ang mangyayari pa ay magkakaroon tayo ng marami pang mga sakit na hindi na natin alam kung anong source. At ito lang pala yun, stress. Okay? Now, if you're ready, okay, with that, so sa mga sinabi ko, those are the guidelines, not just the tips. No, those are the guidelines that would really care for your brain as teacher, because you are one of the sources, not the sole source. No, you're not the sole source of learning, but you are one of the sources of this learning. Lalo na sa ODL, kasi ikaw ang nagfa-facilitate. No, so ibig sabihin, the facilitator must have ano yung tipong an optimum lifestyle. Yan. An optimum lifestyle that would really create an optimum learning environment through online distance learning. Are you ready for this? So I'll get I'll be getting technical on this time, no? I'll be focusing. There are a lot, no? Kailangan holistic to eh. Physically, you may go back to my previous talk last time, no, on the learning routines, so that you'll be able to grasp, no, about the pies: physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual well-being. No, perhaps in another session we could have that, no. So, but this time I will be dealing with the technical things on how can I can help you on making your ODL classes as fruitful. Yeah, very biblical, no? As fruitful as it would be. Okay. So concepts and strategies for educators in conducting ODL. So what are you gonna do, teachers? So the first thing that I would have to share would be the 6 specific cognitive strategies that have received robust support from decades of research. So this is on Cognitive Research Journal. No? So I have tried this and I found it very effective, and I'm going to share it with you. Okay, so by the way, I'm teaching across the levels now, from grade school up to the senior high school. Number one, okay, the spaced practice. So how do you do this? Let's know more about it. The benefits of spaced or distributed practice to learning are arguably one of the strongest contributions that cognitive psychology has ever made to education. Because through this, there will be greater retention of that information in the long run. So tandaan natin, hindi lang naman natin gusto yung short term. Yung mga bata, parang ang gusto nila, cramming. Bakit? Kasi nagbe-benefit kasi sila with the short term effect. But that's not good in the long run, no? Because cramming, as opposed to spaced practice, spaced learning, ito kasi pag spaced siya or distributed yung pag-aaral natin, hindi yung jam-pack na ganyan lang, mag-aaral ako today. No, you have to prepare yourself, no? Yung sa ODL naman natin, you have to make use of the synchronous and then afterwards the asynchronous. That's good. So meron distansya. So after your first subject, then the second subject, then afterwards sa hapon naman, magkakaroon sila ng consultation just like in St. John Mary Vianney Academy. That's what we're doing. So nagkakaroon ng pagkakataon yung mga bata na magkaroon ng spaced practice, and it's really, really effective, no? Okay, so teachers, you have to say one of the things that you can do, and I'm doing also as grade 4 teacher, set aside a few minutes per class to review information from the previous lesson. How do I do that? Let me show you. So this was my topic weeks ago. So materials that decay. Okay, so before I move to the next topic, yung mga grade 4 teacher nakaka-relate dyan. So I have this section ang tawag dyan, look back. So I have this, this is not really graded, but recorded, no? So right through if the statement is correct and false if it's wrong. So like this, no, some plastics are biodegradable and so on and so forth. Tapos yung panglimang lahat ng bagay na to ay binigay ko yan last week, no? So I review them so that they will have to be prepared for the next one, okay? And yung number 5 ko, decaying materials can only cause harm to the environment and not to the people. Actually, my transition going to the next, which is the new topic on diseases due to exposure in decaying materials. Yan. So that's how I do it. No, so spaced practice is well, scientifically it is said to produce optimal learning to the student. So you can do that as well, no, bago magsimula ng panibagong lesson. Okay. So you can also do that by yung katulad sinabi ko kanina, yung synchronous at saka asynchronous na pag-aaral ng mga bata. So you can actually practice that as well. Yon. Tapos sa mga mommies naman natin nakikinig at mga daddies, doon naman sa pag-aaral ng mga bata, spaced din. So wag yung tipo na sunod-sunod, 3 oras mathematics, 3 oras science. So you can have actually math first and then science, and then after merienda go back to math. Yon. I think according to science, that is actually more convenient for them and more conducive for learning. Next one is interleaving. A lot of us are actually more practicing block practice. Parang kahit sa sports yan, sa mga teachers ng PE, no? Ginagawa na ito yung parang unahin muna natin. Okay, so halimbawa sa volleyball, serving lang muna. This is how you serve, and then this is how you reception naman. Tapos sa spiking, gano'n. So isa-isa. So that tawag ng block practice. Sa math teachers naman, ito naman, no? Pag sinabi natin, halimbawa, for the fractions, so multiplication of fractions, then unahin muna natin addition, then multiplication, ganyan. Well, actually, in science, no, they have proven that actually it's interleaving which is more effective. Yung tipo na after mo to na ituro, like for instance ito, the multiplication of these fractions. Okay, so you can go on with division and then addition, then go back to multiplication. Okay, so ano yung ano nun? Is there a scientific basis on that? Sabi dito, there is an effect, no? It actually mixes up. This mixing actually boosts learning. No, it improves the brain's ability to tell apart or discriminate between concepts, and it actually strengthens memory associations. The tendency kasi kapag yung block practice ang ginamit mo sa pagtuturo mo palagi, pag nandun ka na pag nasanay na sila, okay, addition and then subtraction. Pagka pumunta ka na ng multiplication, parang tendency oops, parang hindi na magiging maayos yung pag-transition mo na parang ang hirap na naman. Yun, so yung mas mahirap na iipit ka na doon. So that's why when I also was reviewing about the significant figures, applying it to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, ang ginawa ko, as I introduce addition, I did the subtraction agad, and then I did the multiplication because these are different different rules, no? Yung addition, subtraction pareho ng rules, yung multiplication, division pareho ng rules. So what I did is interleaving para at least hindi yung tipo na ang na-master lang nila yung isa lang, addition and subtraction, and then yung nag-backlog na dun sa sa multiplication and division. Okay? So you can try that in your ODL. Next one is retrieval practice, no? According to Jeffrey Karpik, okay, who was actually a retrieval-based learning associate professor, he said, people do not store static exact copies of experiences that are reproduced verbatim at retrieval. So instead, knowledge is actually reconstructed on the basis of present context. Kung ano yung pinag-aaralan niya ngayon, kung ano yung grade niya ngayon, and yung mga available retrieval cues. Kaya kailangan teachers na nabibigay natin yung mga cues na magpapaalala sa kanila, this is how it's gonna be done. So importante yung mga retrieval cues. For instance, before I started with my science class in grade 7, I had this activity called Science Challenge, and they were so much enjoying about it, no? Kasi syempre, alam natin that science is a spiral curriculum. So kaya well, I started with this. Halimbawa, so 10 questions siya. I'll give you an example. Question number 1, which of the following terms would you use to describe the motion of Earth in its orbit around the sun? So alam nila, so retrieval cues there would be the orbiting, no? The orbiting. Pero meron kasing revolution, di ba? So pagka in its own axis, it's called rotation. So malilito na sila ngayon dyan, nako-confuse sila. It's rotation or revolution. Kailangan nila ngayon ng retrieval cues that would make them remember it, like axis. Oh, nasa axis, dapat rotation yon. Pero pag around the sun, it's revolution. Things like that. So it's gonna be easier for them. So with this, they really enjoyed it. And of course, nakita nila agad kung paalin dito yung dapat na alisin kasi walang kinalaman yung eclipse sa yung solstice no sa orbiting. Yan. So that's how I did the retrieval. Now, there's another one. No, it's called elaborative interrogation strategy. It's asking question, but this is not you as teacher asking the question, but the students formulating the questions. Okay, it focuses on enhancing memory. Okay, it brings out facts that are learned by encouraging students to generate the how and the why questions after reading the material. I'll give you an example. Okay, so plants need oxygen, water, and sunlight for the process of photosynthesis to occur. Students should ask themselves, why do plants require the following factors for photosynthesis? Of course, hindi mo agad yan ma-impose sa bata. Kailangan it takes a lot of practices. At ang maganda dito, because in ODL, the beauty is this. You have, di ba? You have your synchronous, wherein you can save this material, you can do this, and then you have the asynchronous where they can actually ask questions. And then, so they should then try to elaborate and derive an answer, as I have mentioned, to the question of establishing a relationship between the subject, which was photosynthesis, and the predicate, which are the water, oxygen, and light. Okay, so this technique is best used to remember facts regarding places, people, and as well as processes. So how did I apply it to my grade 7 students? So since ang grade 7, ang unang-unang topic is on physical science, which is chemistry. No, so I I made them think about this. No, so matter is anything that occupies space and has mass. Okay, children, uh, can you please get 3 examples of matter in your home? And then they show me. So show. Okay, so this is matter, this is matter, this is matter. Okay, then I challenge their minds. No, is love matter? So what would be the questions in the minds of the students I'm thinking in to be assessed as matter? Na parang ganun. So bakit nga ba? Yon. So kumbaga we had a healthy discussion on this. Well to cut it short, in the end said to them that I really hope that you have love in your heart, no? Meron kang may space and love diyan. But the question is what would compose love? Are they chemical elements? Are there chemical elements combining to form love? Yon. So that actually disqualifies it as matter, 'di ba? So love is not actually a matter, but it really matters, no? And then sabi ko sa kanila nga that oftenly pag sinasabi natin, no, may chemistry kayo ganon. So actually we don't segue na yan, no? So we don't actually talk about love in science, but we talk about the causes of your blushing, why you feel that, because there's chemical components of that, no, the chemistry of love. But love itself is not actually matter. Okay, so that's how I engage with my students. Another one is concrete examples. So the idea is to take an abstract concept and use real world examples to increase understanding. Look at this, like the understanding of justice is it's actually abstract. Now, look at this. Equality doesn't mean justice, no? Or equality is not is actually an abstract thing. So equality and this is justice. Oh, look at the difference. Yeah. So you have to give a concrete example of how you would really make them understand what your abstract concept is about. And also in my grade 12 in Hillcrest School, understanding culture, society, and politics, this is what I did. No, in sociology, because this is the introduction to it. So I made them understand what sociology is, and then we got into this topic. Introduction lang naman. The various ways of looking at society and various ways of explaining the things that are happening in it. So the butterfly effect. So I discuss about social phenomena, and when you talk about butterfly effect, is the future events can be affected by a small change made at a certain point in time, which may change the course of the future. And what I gave us as a example that I could think about was actually the implication of the split second decision that was actually monumental when the U.S. Armies decided not to bomb Kokura, okay, city, which was actually the target according to them, no, and not Nagasaki, no, at that time of that they dropped the bomb there. So Kokura was not in the history now, but actually it was Nagasaki in August 9, 1945, nung na-drop yung bomb doon. So that split decision made the butterfly effect, which of course changed the course of the history. Okay, Kokura it has not been really affected at all. Yon. So we in our ODL sessions, we have to give concrete examples that would really yung magkakaroon ng aha moment sa mga bata. Oh, because the next thing is that they will have to apply it in their lives. There are butterfly phenomena in our lives also. No, the effect kung ano man yung split second decision that we might make that can really change our, lalo na mga grade 11 na to. So that might change or grade 12 na to. So that might change the course of their lives, no? Yon, so napag-uusapan namin yon. So before going down to the personal level, kailangan nakita nila muna yung concrete examples. And that will make you cause a very good learning experience to your students. And the last one would be the dual coding, no? Verbal and imaginal codes have independent and additive effects on memory recall. So like this, some vocabulary dog, and then you show a picture of the dog, then that would really be more retaining in the brain. Now look at this, no, in Araling Panlipunan. Okay? Ito pala, so science muna. So sa science, katulad nito, no, so yung pinapa-arrange ni teacher yung planets closest to the sun. So pero ito yung mga pictures ng mga planets, tapos nandun din yung ano mismo, yung name ng planet. Okay? And also in Araling Panlipunan, ito tuwan-tuwa ako dito sa gumawa nito, no? So pinagsama niya. So ito ang discussion nito tungkol sa komunidad. At sinama niya yung mga bata sa kanilang pagtatalakay or sa kanilang activity mismo na nangyayari doon sa community nila. Oh, ay, nairiyan pala kayo. Kumusta? Maaari niyo ba akong samahan magdikit ng mga poster para sa aming film showing sa aming paaralan? Yon. So, ang pinaka-topic niya dito ay ang mga mahahalagang direksyon, no, sa katulad dito ang apat na pangunahing direksyon, ang hilaga, silangan, timog at kanluran. Tapos pati yung mga kombinasyon ng mga pangunahing direksyon at saka yung mga pangalawa, yung hilaga, silangan, timog, kanluran. Yan. So, tinitingnan niyo maigi yung ginawa niya. So, yung meron dito, sabi niya, lagyan natin ng tanda ang aming bahay at ang burol kung saan ito nakatayo gamit ang mga simbolong ito. Ayan. Tapos gumagalaw mismo yung bata, no? So naglalakad siya patungo doon sa kanyang pupuntahan sa bandang timog kanluran. So nakikita niya yung movement ng bata. Yan. Kasi nga hindi na nakakalabas yung mga bata. So ang ganda, no? So that is an example of dual coding. Tapos, yan. So yung mga kasama niya na magdidikit ng poster, tapos yung mga bata, yung mga tumutulong sa kanila hanggang sa nabuo nilang tong lahat at nakumpleto nila yung pagdidikit ng poster. At sa dulo, sila ay nagpasalamat. Yan. So that's how interactive you could be in your ODL if you want to have an optimal learning. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Ito naman, the strategy that has been a research of cognitive science. I hope teachers na bigyan nyo ito ng pagkakataon. No? Cognitive science is actually multidisciplinary. Kasama na dito yung psychology, linguistics, anthropology, neuroscience, philo, and artificial intelligence. No? So I think ngayon sa US lang may doctorate degree nito. So this is one thing that I would have to share lang. So the cognitive load theory, it maintains that limitations of working memory capacity place a severe limit on our students' cognitive processing. Kaya kailangan maging aware tayo doon sa tatlong forms of cognitive loads na binibigay natin every time that we have our ODL sessions. Intrinsic, extraneous, and germane load. Alam nyo, ito lang i-carry nyo all throughout your lessons. I think you're gonna have a very fruitful session. No? Intrinsic load. Pag-usapan natin halimbawa yung mga Christian living educators naman. Yung mga halimbawa ito, no? When you talk about intrinsic load, the cognitive load related to the inherent difficulty. May inherent difficulty ang addition, may inherent difficulty ang subtraction. Ganon din ang multiplication at subdivision. Alam natin mas mahirap yung dalawang magkasunod sa huli. Pero dito, sa mga teachers naman ng CLE, so the parable of the prodigal son versus the parable of the good Samaritan. Oh, let me just review you. Ang parable of the prodigal son, ito yung dalawang magkapatid na yung isa kinuha niya na yung yaman niya, no, yung mga ipapamana ng tatay niya bago pa man mamatay yung tatay niya. Of course, it's a no-no in the tradition at sa atin din, no. Ngayon, afterwards, no, bumalik yung bata at tuwan-tuwa na in-embrace siya ng tatay niya. Yon. So kumbaga dito ay pinakikita na ganun talaga ang pagmamahal ng isang ama. Ganun din ang Panginoon sa atin. Okay? So that's the story. Okay? Ngayon, the parable of the good Samaritan naman, ito naman yung papunta yung isang Jew sa Jericho, tapos biglang nakasalubong siya ng mga robbers, tapos iniwan siya half dead, ninakawan, ganoon, halos patayin. Tapos may isang priest na dumaan, nung napadaan siya doon, dumaan siya sa kabila, no, hindi niya pinansin, hindi niya tinulungan. Tapos yung sumunod naman ay dumaan naman yung Levite na isang worker ng church, hindi rin siya tinulungan. Pero yung isang Samaritano na kung saan suklam na suklam ang mga Hudyo before, yun yung dumaan at tinulungan niya yung Hudyo kahit na kasuklam-suklam siya para dito. What is the gist of this story? Kasi ito kasi yung china-challenge nung yung mga teachers of the law, si Jesus Christ at that time, na kung paano nila may inherent ang kingdom of God, no? Kung paano, or kingdom of heaven. Kung paano sila mapupunta sa heaven. So sabi ng Lord, love your God, no? Love your God with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. Ngayon, ang tinachinalan sa kanya is, who is my neighbor? Kaya niya sinabi itong parable na to. So sino sa tatlong yun? Yung neighbor ni Lord, or yung neighbor nung Hudyong yun. Okay? So, now, kailangan, yung mga bagay na yon, alam mo yon, no, as a teacher. Mamaya, sabihin natin kung para saan yon. Extraneous load naman is the information that requires cognitive processing but which are not central to learning. No, pero kailangan, alam nila yon. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, katulad nun, kanina, nakita natin yung inherent difficulty. Mas mahirap intindihin yung the parable of the Good Samaritan kumpara doon sa parable of the prodigal son. Ngayon, kailangan mapaunawaan natin to, who are the Samaritans at that time, and what is the difference between a priest and a Levite. Pero wag kang mag-focus doon, no? So una, kailangan alam mo lang na mas difficult itong parable na to. Pangalawa, kailangan alam mo yung dapat na daanan mo para ma-process sa mind nila. Pero hindi ka pwedeng mag-focus diyan, okay? And next one, like halimbawa, in the parable of the Good Samaritan, ang central idea is not the differentiation of a priest and a Levite, okay? But the central idea is answering the question, who is my neighbor? No? Kasi yun yung china-challenge kay Jesus Christ at the time. Now, let's go to the third cognitive load, which is called the germane load. In your lesson, dito ka dapat nakafocus. So the aspect of working memory that focuses on making sense of the information or learning. So, ito yung making meaning. So, who is my neighbor? Hindi yung kung ano na yung application, tsaka ka naman magagahol na sa lesson, no? Lalo na si LE ang pinag-uusapan natin, Christian Living Education. Dapat, ang pinaka-focus mo would be on where they can transfer the knowledge, di ba? To higher order thinking skills. So in our present time, eto na yung application, who is my neighbor? Hindi ka dapat dito nagmamadali. Dapat dito ka nakafocus. Tapos, may karugtong pa yan, who is my neighbor whom I should love as myself? So in our context today, itong mga taong to, ito yung mga tao na prisoner, tapos yung mga salot ng lipunan that the Lord would really want you to love as yourself. Ganun din sa kanila noon, like yung Kasamaritanong yun. Yun ang dapat na minamahal mo, yun ang dapat na kino-consider mo as neighbor, hindi yung kapwa mo lang Jew. And hence, nung sinabi ng Lord yun, if you want to inherit the kingdom of God, then you should love your neighbor. Go and do that. Yon. So, ganun din sa atin. Pag nag-end tayo ng lesson natin dito, dapat you should also do that to those people na kinukutya mo, na tinutukso-tukso mo, at iniiwasan mo. Pwedeng kapatid mo yan, minsan nga pwedeng magulang natin yan. Yan. So, dapat ganyan para palalim ng palalim yung lesson natin at nagiging kagamit-gamit. Lalo na at this is online distance learning. So, the bottleneck in learning can be managed by, again, the word optimize, optimizing the germane load, tapos bawasan yung extraneous load, at bawasan din yung intrinsic load. In every single lesson that we're gonna have, so let's take note of these things so that we'll be able to have a very fruitful discussion. Okay? Next. Now, let's go now to the last part na ng talk ko. So that will be the key learning science discoveries. Okay. So ano naman yung key learning science discoveries ngayon? Teachers, to make sure that you would have an optimal learning session with your students, actually, you should bear in mind that according to research, there are no learning styles. No, students may have preferences for how they learn, but when put to test, students were found to have equivalent levels of learning regardless of how information is presented. Okay? So yung mga lesson plans ninyo, hindi na kailangan na magbabase sa kung ano yung gustong style ng bata. No? So attention to the individual talents, I'll strengthen this later, preferences and abilities of students which cater to the emotional and social needs of the students and improves their ability to learn is actually more important than styles. Okay? So there are no learning styles anymore. So what do you need to do? So you have to capitalize on their talents and their interests. Okay? So number 2, the brains operate on the use it or lose it principle. Hence, information in the brain that is not used often is lost. Okay? As neutral pathways weaken over time. So anong gagawin natin ngayon? Ito na ngayon yung synchronous mo, kailangan naka-follow through ka agad dun sa asynchronous. And gagamitan mo na spaced practice kinabukasan, babalik ka dun sa pwede mo siyang ma-recall. Yan. And don't encourage them to cram. So what they need to do is to form a study habit that would really be helpful. So parents, yan tandaan natin yan. So wag mo masyadong na, anak, 2 oras mathematics, 2 oras science. Kasi ito'y mahirap. Not necessarily. So you have to have a break. No, interleaving. So that would be also applied there, no? So parang kumbaga, pag inano mo na 'yon, iba-iba naman, no? So kumbaga parang ito addition, subtraction, ganun. Mas maganda, mas mapoproseso ng mind natin 'yan. Huwag yung ililimit ang brain natin because our brain is really tawag dito, there's neuroplasticity there. So kailangan lang is mag-adapt siya. Okay? So learning is best when innate abilities are capitalized on, as in number 1, no, na sinabi ko kanina. So you have to ask yourselves, teachers, what are my students' gifts and what are they good at? Para at least dun ka mag-focus. Para pagka ginawa mo yung ODL lesson mo, wow, naisa-isa mo na sila na ito magaling kumanta to, ito husay to. Kami may grade 2 students kami na, okay, bago tayo mag-end ngayon, let's have this grade 2 student sing for us. Okay, do you want to listen to him again? Yon. So, nagiging masaya kami. And also, ngayon hindi nyo kailangan tanggalin yung mga activities. Actually, this week, sayang nga lang, nauna lang yung tokong to, no? Hindi ko napakita yung mga pictures, but we are actually celebrating the book character week today. So starting today, so naka sila kung sino yung favorite character nila. So in bawat level yan, kailangan maging creative sila in their costumes and their presentation. They will have to give dialogues. Yan. So if they are good in singing, they can sing. If they are good in acting, they can act. Yon. So kailangan ganyan tayo ka versatile. Hindi lang puro video lang sila, ganyan kasi parang ginagawa na ng lahat 'yun eh. So do something unique. So do something novel. You love this and the students will love them as well. Number 4, more information doesn't mean more learning. Unless ito lecture lang kasi ito, kaya kailangan ako talaga lahat, no? Pero in our ODL, wag ganon, no? So focus on the germane, no? Reduce natin yung extraneous sa intrinsic. So cognitive overload may overwhelm our students' brains. Ang dami na, teacher. So what do you need to do? So focus lang. Kaya nga binabana ng DepEd yung number of competencies, di ba? To 5,000 plus. Kasi ito na yung MELC. Para hindi naman magkaroon ng cognitive load ng ating mga bata. Tandaan natin, ang pinaka-importante ngayon is that they enjoy learning and they have it to the maximum. The best learning ever, sabi nga na anak ko. Okay, so mistakes are essential part of learning. Hence, a recent study found that students performed better in school and felt more confident when they were told that failure was a normal part of learning. So kahit na ganito tayo, ODL tayo, mas maganda pa. Kasi bakit? Kasi nga, sa Google Classroom for instance, pag ginamit nyo yan, may mga comment section doon. So ang kailangan mo lang is sabihin mo doon yung comment mo na, anak, I hope that you would elaborate here more. Anak, this actually medyo iba yung pagkakaintindi mo yata dito, ganyan. So make a good comment, no? Because through those comments, the students would learn that okay, nagkamali ako ngayon, pero sa susunod na mag-turn in ako ng assignment ko dito sa Google Classroom, it's not gonna be the same. Kung modular naman kayo, ganun din. Meron kaming nakalagay doon sa School of Everlasting Pearl, meron kaming comment section sa baba ng module namin na nakalagay na message to teacher and then response ni teacher. So in that way, nag-uusap pa din kami. So teachers, kailangan mag-usap tayo, mag-communicate tayo well with our students if we want to have an optimal learning experience for them. And lastly, emotional influences the ability to learn, and therefore, sabi ko kanina, nag-start ako with stress, with anxiety. Ngayon mag-end din ako dito. If you are not stressed and you are not anxious and you feel better because physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, you are well, then there's nothing to block the access to higher processes in your teaching and in the learning on the side of the students. Okay? So parehong importante that the teacher is physically well and the students are also well. Okay. So, in that, I would end with this. Amidst the pandemic, let us ensure students' optimal learning through ODL. So I hope you got a lot from this lecture. Thank you very much, Vival, for this opportunity that you have given me.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we will proceed to the question and answer portion. Our first question is from Edita Santa Maria. What kind of evaluation can we use in ODL system po?
Mm-mm. Wow, that's a very good question. Ano? Actually, kami nga ngayon, our school head actually changed already the term. No, we don't have test anymore, so we are doing assessment. So how do we assess our students? So be creative in this. Kung konti lang ang mga bata ninyo, you could have scheduled tests. So kami sa amin, we only give like 15 objective tests, no, whether it's modular or online distance learning. So 15 objective tests lang, and then objective type, and then the other ones would be performance tasks. So whatever the subject is, you can ask them to create a slogan, create a poster. Kapag ODL naman, they can have a live demonstration or their recorded ones. So it's more of a performance task this time. Okay, so mas less yung mga objective type. Actually, maganda nga siya kasi mas magagamit siya ng mga higher order thinking skills niya. So more of performance tasks and more of scheduled and more personalized. Yan, mas maganda yung ganon. And individualized.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next question is from Edmundo Ignacio. How can
Mhm.
interaction be done among students in an open distance learning environment?
Yes, oo. Dialogue, no? Kaya kailangan, lalo yung principal namin sa St. John Mary Vianney, no? Si Ma'am Liza. So ang lagi niyang kabiling-bilinan is this. Kailangan it has to be interactive. So yung lesson mo, hindi dapat discussion. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, dapat nakafocus tayo teachers dun sa germane load. Parents, pwede nyo rin itong gawin ha. So yung germane load tayo nakafocus dun sa application. Mag-uusap-usap ang mga bata kapag ka dun sa application. What about your idea? Halimbawa, Jerome, what about your idea, Sarah? Ganon. So kumbaga, sila mismo nag-uusap. Tapos meron sa Zoom also na pwede sila mag-breakout sessions. In the breakout sessions, pwede mo silang paghiwalayin tapos pupunta ka sa isa-isa. Tapos ginagawa namin yan na, okay, so I give us a task. Tapos you're gonna do the collaboration here in this task. Kayo naman on this task. Pwedeng gamitin yung mga differentiated teaching. No? Kayang-kaya. Yung isang grupo na nasa breakout session, gumagawa ng kanta. Yung sa kabila naman, gumagawa ng report. Sa kabila naman nagko-compose or nagdo-draw, no, tapos napakita nila yun afterwards, no, so ano yung nagawa nilang poster, things like that.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from Diana Enriquez. Paano ko po kaya matutulungan ng anak kong nasa ODL? I feel po kasi na-stress siya sa dami ng activities during and after her class. Napakarami pong activities na parang assignments. Thank you.
Okay. Ito sabi na meron tayong mga parents talaga nakikinig. Alam niyo po, kasi yung actually yung recommended lang talaga dapat, no, mga 2 to 3.5 hours lang dapat talaga, no, yung learning natin. Kaya lang ang dami nga kasi nga may asynchronous part. So I think, Mami, ang makakatulong yung spaced learning, for instance, na i-ano natin, iplano natin kung paano siya makakapagpahinga muna. Dapat may pahinga, may kain, may oras para sa pag-aaral. You can also, if I may recommend, no, you can also go back to my talk last time here in Vibal, yung sa learning routines. Kailangan kasi, Mami, meron tayong routines na gagawin. In that way kasi makaka-adapt yung brain natin. Tapos making your house conducive for learning. Kahit na nahihirapan yung bata, anak, pahinga ka muna, encouragement, more on that, Mami, mas makakatulong tayo. Tapos ano lang natin, isaayos lang natin kung alin ba yung pinakamahirap ngayon, anak. Tapos ito yung medyo madali-dali. So ilalagay natin sa dulo. Yon. Tapos kung saan po kayo makakatulong, like halimbawa, searching the competency, searching things in the internet kung paano mas mapapadali ang paggawa ng anak, that would really be making a fruitful day for your child.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions we have for now po. Do you have any last reminders for our viewers for today po?
Yes. Well, unang-una, thank you muna no sa Vibal for this opportunity. Ngayon, ang siguro ang masasabi ko lang is that lahat naman tayo as teachers, lalo na this is our month, no? So happy Teachers Month sa ating lahat. Um, Siguro ang pinakamagandang gawin nating lahat is let's keep ourselves well, no, because if we are physically well, intellectually well, emotionally well, and especially spiritually well, wherein we know our purpose, our meaning, why we are doing this for this generation, why are we continuing education, hindi tayo naapektuhan sa mga napakadami nagsasabi ng academic freeze for this school year. In this way, natulungan natin yung sarili natin to have an optimum lifestyle. Tapos maibababa natin ng maayos yan sa ating mga bata, sa ating mga estudyante during our online distance learning class, with the aim that we're gonna have and we're gonna meet no optimal learning that's gonna happen every session. So in that way kasi natulungan mo yung sarili mo at the same time nakatulong ka sa bata, nakatulong ka sa pamilya, which is actually making our profession more than being professionals. This is really a vocation.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vibal Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.